Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're not in the UK at all, we're in Hungary. To be precise, we're in rural Hungary, on the outskirts of Budapest. And I thought today we'd do a video on the Hungarian car market. I might do this from time to time, to be honest, because whenever I go somewhere new, I'm always fascinated by the local car market. I just love to see the differences in different parts of the world. You get a real taste of what's popular and what isn't. The first thing I've noticed about Hungary is that you see a lot of older high mileage cars still on the road, still plodding on, and they don't seem to have rusted away. It makes me think, and this is purely speculative by the way, it makes me think that people look after the cars better here. They just seem to last an awful lot longer. Another surprise for me was the most common badge I've seen since I've been in Hungary. Now, since I've been here, by far and away, the most common badge I've seen is one of those, Suzuki. Who'd have thought it? There are just far more Suzukis here than anything else. If you go to any supermarket car park, like that one for example, there's a Suzuki Ignis backing out of a spot. Parked next to it was a Suzuki Swift, there's a Suzuki SX4, an old Swift, an old Swift, an old Swift, a new Swift. Suzuki's absolutely everywhere, there's another one. I can see why, to be honest. Suzuki make good little cars. In the UK though, they do have a tendency to rust, and that obviously isn't the case here. Which is weird because they have quite a similar climate to the UK, I believe. Winters here, I believe, are cold and they get their fair share of snow, just like we do in the UK. So you would think that they would rot away. And yet they just don't seem to. It's weird. There's another one. I did a bit of research because I thought this can't just be a coincidence, and it turns out there's a huge Suzuki factory not far from here actually, in a place called, let me make sure I get this right, Esztergom? I think that's right, I apologise in advance if that's wrong, but apparently there they make the SX4 and the Vitara and other models, so it kind of makes sense. All of a sudden then, although Suzuki's Japanese, here in Hungary it's almost like a bit of a national brand. When you finally find a car that isn't a Suzuki, you'll find that it's some sort of German brand, usually a diesel and usually quite high mileage. Older Passats, E-Classes, C-Classes, 3 Series, 5 Series, Audi A4s, you do see an awful lot of that kind of thing as well. It's been quite interesting to see though, because I've seen loads of cars here that I just haven't seen for ages. Like the old Opel Kadett, you still see loads of those on the roads here. And there are a few other things that I've noticed as well. So for example, the saloon car is still quite popular here. So you see saloon versions of standard hatchbacks, which you just don't really get in the UK. For example, the Polo Saloon, and also the Renault Clio Saloon, which I think is called the Talia or something. That's quite popular here, I've seen loads of those. It seems that having a saloon car here, or a sedan, is still quite popular, whereas in the UK, most people go for SUVs or hatchbacks. I've seen a couple of EVs as well, but they are few and far between. They don't seem to be awfully popular here, which kind of makes sense. It's quite a big country, and I think you've got to drive decent amounts of distance between each city, so it's no wonder they're not that popular. Also, I haven't seen that many EV charging stations, so it kind of makes sense. I think if I lived here, I'd rather stick with an older diesel. Something like a C-Class or a 3 Series or something like that. Also, because I'm a bit nosy, I've had a snoop on the local Facebook marketplace just to see what things are fetching, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Cars here are expensive. When I was doing some research for this video, I found out some facts that genuinely surprised me. So, for example, the average car age here in Hungary is 16 years old, so it's one of the oldest average ages anywhere in Europe. If you can compare that figure to the UK, the average age of a used car in the UK is 9 years old. So 9 years to 16 years old is quite a difference. So it's still quite common here to see loads of mid to late 90s cars still going strong, which I like to see, to be honest. I always find that quite interesting. Those are the kinds of car, or that's the era of car that I grew up with, so it's nice to see them still going strong. Generally speaking, people keep the cars here longer. Now that's for a few reasons. Firstly here, wages are low relative to the cost of a brand new car. So for most people, buying a brand new car is just out of reach, or it's a bit of a luxury. You also find here that the repair culture is strong, so I'm guessing it must be much cheaper here to fix a car than it is in the UK, for example. You know, in the UK, mechanics rates are high, so in some cases, it's just not worth repairing your car, in some cases. You know, for example, if your car is only worth £1,000, it's not worth replacing the head gasket on. Whereas here, I don't think that's the case. I do quite like the fact that people keep the cars longer here. They try and squeeze every last cent out of it, which makes sense. We do tend to be quite wasteful in the UK, don't we? You know, people scrap cars that have still got a few years' life left in them. Also, having spoken to a few people here, people don't really like the idea of financing a car here. Finance culture isn't really that strong. People seem to prefer to own something outright here, which again is no bad thing. I think we could learn a thing or two from that, to be honest. Oh look, BMW E30. See what I mean? You just see cars here that I haven't seen for ages. That's so cool. There's really nothing wrong with being a bit frugal, is there? There's nothing wrong with frugality. That whole mentality of not buying something until you can afford it is no bad thing. Another thing I've noticed is that German imports seem to dominate the used car market, and an imported car is no bad thing. You see, in the UK, we often frown upon import cars. If you see an advert for a Japanese import car or an import from somewhere else, you think, maybe I'll avoid that one, maybe I'll go for a UK car. But here, it's seen as a good thing. A lot of the cars here that I've seen on the road originated from Germany or Switzerland or Austria or places like that. Now I know this because I've done car vertical checks because, yes, I am that nerdy. A lot of these imported cars do tend to be high mileage, but I don't think that's such a bad thing. If they're maintained correctly, which again most cars are in places like Germany and Switzerland, then to have a car with 300,000 Ks on the clock isn't really that bad. Whereas compare that to the UK, as soon as something ticks over 100k, everyone wants to get rid of it. Everyone's really frightened to death by it. I was looking through Facebook Marketplace earlier and I saw a 530D and it'd done 457,000 kilometres. And it was like being advertised for quite a high price in my opinion. So it obviously doesn't put people off here. The other thing I've noticed here is that diesels are still quite popular. You know, in Western Europe and other parts of the world, they're dying out. We're being told by various governments that we shouldn't drive them, we should switch to petrol or PHEVs like this one. But here in Hungary, diesels are still popular. Roughly 40% of used car ads are for diesels, which is quite a high figure, isn't it? But thinking about it, when you're talking about cars from the early 2000s, that's when diesels were at their best. They weren't getting choked up by silly emissions standards and regulations. It also makes sense because diesels are more economical and fuel here is quite expensive. When I filled up the other day, I think it worked out about €1.50 a litre. And of course they don't use the euro here, they use the forint. I've seen the odd Tesla like that, or Nissan Leaf, or Hyundai Ioniq 5, but they are quite rare. They're not that common, whereas again, if you compare that to the UK, it seems like every other car you spot on the road these days is an EV or PHEV, whereas here that's just not the case. Car culture here is a bit like the UK was 10 or 15 years ago, when diesel was king. Lots of brands have factories here as well. Earlier today I went past a Bosch factory, I think it was some sort of radiator factory. Also Opel have or had a factory here as well, so you see lots of Opels as well. A bit like Suzuki, they're almost national pride cars. You do see quite a few Skodas as well. Of course Skoda's a Czech brand, but that isn't too far from Hungary. If you head to the centre of Budapest, it's a really pretty city. It's often described as the Paris of the East, and you can see why. Big, old, grand, impressive buildings. And car-wise, it's kind of similar to any other major city. You'll see lots of G-Wagons and M5s and S-Classes and Porsche Panameras and that kind of thing. One thing I have noticed though is that you don't see many Land Rover products. You don't see that many Range Rovers. I've noticed that Mercedes and BMW, or BMW as it's known here, those brands just carry more weight than Land Rover. So I think wealthy Hungarians naturally gravitate to those brands rather than Range Rover. I think what we'll do now then is park up somewhere scenic and I'll get my laptop out and we'll have a quick look at the local car market. But before we do, I just need to say a big thank you to today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Car Vertical. Now before you buy a used car or motorbike, it's really important that you do a thorough vehicle history check. And with Car Vertical, that couldn't be easier. Don't worry, I'll leave the link below in the video description, but all you need to do is go to carvertical.com and type in the reg or the VIN. And this, by the way, works, well, it works here as well. It works in 35 different countries, so it isn't just a UK thing. It doesn't take long and it isn't expensive, and it's cheaper still if you use my promo code HIGHPEAK. That's HIGHPEAK, all one word, HIGHPEAK, and you'll save yourself 20% off each and every check that you do. So you simply type the reg or the VIN in, and then it produces a thorough, detailed report. So it'll tell you things like whether the cars have been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. I've been using it here out of curiosity because it shows you if the car's been imported or not. Sometimes as well, if the car's been involved in an accident, it shows you photographs from the recorded damage, so it's quite a handy tool. Also, I've had it before where it showed me photographs from the last time the car was advertised. So that's quite a good feature because you can compare the condition. It also shows you things like the MOT history, the ownership changes, the spec, the average market value, and a whole lot more. So definitely check them out before you buy a used car. Anyway, thank you Car Vertical for sponsoring another video. Let me find somewhere scenic then. Okay, then here we go then. Right, I've parked up somewhere relatively scenic and behind a sunflower field. Let's open up Facebook Marketplace then. Now you do see some odd stuff which I always like to look at. What do we want then? Let's look for Mercedes. So we're currently searching 100 kilometers around Budapest. So if we look here, there's a 2003 Mercedes-Benz C200, or C220 CDI. This is exactly what I'm talking about with high mileage. Look at this. It is done. It is done. Looks quite tidy actually, apart from a dent on the bonnet. It's a facelift. It's got the clear headlights. That's a 203, but it hasn't got 203 wheels. It's got a worn steering wheel cover on it. It's a manual. Let's have a look, shall we? It's done 380,000 kilometres, so very high mileage really, isn't it? And that is 480,000 forints. 480,000 converts. Oh, okay, that's only £1,000. Still, with that kind of mileage, you'd get that for half the price in the UK. Oh, Mercedes ML. Is that 63 or has it just got the 63 kit on it? It's a 63, 6.2 litre. Let's translate this. Hang on a second. Inquiries by phone, 6.2. 8 owners on the register. That's unusual to see something like that, actually. I thought that might be a diesel with a conversion kit on it. We've got 2014 Mercedes here. What is that? Is that a 222 or a 213? It's a 212. It's neither. That is a 212 with 2014 302,000 kilometres. So 300,000 kilometres, and that is 5 million forints, which is £11,000. That's really expensive, isn't it? 300,000 kilometres is 180,000 miles, I think. Yeah, 186,000 miles, and they want £11,000 for it. That in the UK would be half that. So this is what I'm saying, that obviously hasn't put anyone off. It looked very tidy, actually. Again, I might just be talking nonsense, but people do seem to look after the cars better. It's kind of difficult to see from the photographs, but that does look in really good condition. Bodywork looks immaculate. There's no wear on the steering wheel, which is a surprise for 184,000 miles. What should we look for? A 2000. Oh, look at this. A 2005 Mercedes CLS. It's done 410,000 kilometres. It's 410,000 kilometres. It's 254,000 miles. That would be worth nothing in the UK. And they're asking 2.25 million. 2250. So £5,000. That wouldn't be worth. You couldn't give that away in the UK. And it's £5,000. Which is crazy, really. Oh, 3.5 benzene, petrol. Will that have balance shaft issues? I think it will. I think it was like 09 when they cured that issue. So it's a CLS 350 petrol, MOT until 2026. I believe here in Hungary they have MOTs every 2 years. Automatic gearbox with excellent condition. The car is used daily, for sale due to moving abroad. Okay. I mean, that looks very tidy, doesn't it, for a car with such high mileage? That looks immaculate. Still a nice car, that. But crazy high mileage, really. Just goes to show, doesn't it, if you look after your car properly, then it will last. What else should we look at? I chose Mercedes because that seems to be the most popular premium brand here. Maybach edition. What have we got? We've got a 2010 204 wagon there, or estate. So that has done, sorry, my internet's quite slow. That's 3 million forints, which is £6,500. And what's the mileage? It's done 321,000 kilometres. But it looks very tidy. It's got a boot liner on it. The Artico, or the leather, hasn't split. That's quite a good spec as well. It's got massage seats. I think that's what that button is. It looks very tidy. People generally look after the cars better here. But yeah, very high mileage. What else should we look at? Should we look at BMW? I'm always keen to see if there's something here that's kind of undervalued that I could possibly export. There was an E38 there. So in Europe, they got the E38 as a 730D. Now we never got that. It was petrol only. See that there? The 3 Series has done 322,000 kilometres. There's an E38 740 there that's done 400,000 kilometres. Mileage just doesn't seem to scare people off here, does it? That looks very clean, actually. It's got Alpina style wheels. I do love the E38, I must admit. Sziasztok, van egy helado. Okay. I'm not even going to pretend. I understand maybe 1 in every 10 words there. Let's see translation. Hey there. Got a 740 for sale. The gearbox does not work in reverse. Okay, that's not great. But they're asking $2,150,000 for it, which is £5,000, and it's got no reverse gear. Good luck. It's crazy, isn't it? It's a crazy market. So, well, let's look for Suzukis. Let's see if they're affordable. Suzuki. This is the Swift that I see here everywhere. Every single place I go, I see one of these, this era Swift or a Wagon-R. So, we've got a Suzuki Wagon-R there, done 264. That is how much? 200,000, did that say? 200,000, hoof. 200,000 forints. How much is that? 500 quid. That's cheap, isn't it? Should do a little, I bought a cheap Suzuki Wagon-R video. It's a year 2000. They're very reliable, actually. Quite high mileage, but that doesn't seem to put people off here, does it? A decent little runaround, isn't it, for £500? Suzuki Swift 1 litre here for 90,000 Ks. Surely not. That's cheap, isn't it? It's 200 quid. No wonder Suzukis are everywhere. That's cheap. The underside doesn't look bad either. I know it's either got an oil leak there because that looks a bit damp, or it's been wax oiled or something. No wonder they're everywhere then. It's cheap. What about the new shaped Swift? Or newer, like 05 onwards? Sorry if I'm boring you here, but I find this fascinating, to be honest. Suzuki Swift Sedan 1.3 in Budapest. Helado Suzuki Swift Sedan 1.9. That's only 140,000, okay. Which is £300. Am I missing something here? It's weird, isn't it? Anything that's luxurious fetches a ridiculous premium that I don't think it warrants. But little Suzukis and stuff, for example, look at the little X90. I've never had one of those. Looks like a child's drawing of a car, doesn't it? Yeah, anything that's kind of affordable like this, like a little Suzuki, is available at a relatively low price. Interesting. And they're obviously still going strong. Look at this, Suzuki Swift, 135,000, which is nothing really, 300 quid. Anyway, that's about all I know about the Hungarian car market. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Actually, make sure you follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active these days. It's just easier to post a picture of where I am or what I'm filming with on Instagram. But yeah, that's about it. If you enjoyed this video, maybe I'll make some more wherever I am in the world. So yeah, cheers guys. Thank you for watching. And if you're from Hungary, let me know in the comments below. I'd be intrigued to see how many viewers I've got here, to be honest, because it's a beautiful country and I've enjoyed visiting. So see you soon. See ya.